back. Arroz con pollo. You heard me. Arroz con pollo Puerto Rican style. I have never tasted better arroz con pollo than the one that my aunt cooked for me when I was a child. She's in her 80s now. I am in my early 50s. So that was a long time ago. And to this day, I have the taste in my mind. So I'm going to do this arroz con pollo in her honor. And I'm going to add a technique that I learned to enhance the flavor. And I guarantee you, I still might not get it. I will get it close, but I will never pass her. I know that for a fact. Another thing I'm thinking about doing, and I'm still thinking about it, I'm going to simulate a situation in which my measurements for the rice and the solids and the liquids get messed up a little bit, and how to fix or trying to fix that on the spot. A lot of people screw up when they do arroz con pollo, arroz con candules, because they lose the focus on measurements. Follow certain measurements, but there are other tricks out there in case you lost focus because you're on the telephone or whatever. So I might simulate that. So let's see what happens. So gonna wear arroz con pollo or chicken with rice, if you want to call it that way. So gonna wear, let's create. So let's look at ingredients. First, I have 2 chicken thighs and 2 chicken legs. Leave the skin. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to puncture them a little bit and then put the salt as needed. And I'm going to use some chicken broth. I have about 2 cups. I don't have enough chicken broth, so I might be using some water too. You can also use water only. I'm going to use about 1.5 cups of rice. This one is medium size. Puerto Rico. I'm going to have some sea salt for taste, extra virgin olive oil, some olive without the pits, a bay leaf. I'm going to use some small paprika, tomato sauce. I made my own by grating the tomatoes. Look how beautiful the color is. And I have some sofrito that I preserve. I made this a while back and preserve it. However, go to my descriptions because I'm going to show you how to make this kind of sofrito there. And by the same token, I'm going to show you how to make sofrito without having to preserve it. Real time, when you're going to chop your onions and your garlic and the appropriate ingredients, and I'm going to show you how it's done too. So you don't have to worry if you don't have preserved frozen sofrito. And finally, I'm going to use some achiote or annatto seeds. And this is the annatto seeds. I'm not going to use a lot. What I'm going to do with this, because I want a beautiful color in my rice, I'm going to create an annattos, or what we call in Puerto Rico, achiote oil. And I'm going to do real time. Some people make it in advance and they preserve it. I don't want to fill up my refrigerator with annatto oil if I don't have to. So I'm going to do real time on the spot like my grandmother used to do it every time she cooked. And I think that's it. So the first thing I'm doing, is I'm going to make a little bit of holes in my chicken. I'm not taking the skin out. Then I'm going to add some sea salt. And that's all I'm going to add. I'm not even going to add pepper, though you can add some pepper. Now that I did that, I have a pan. It's very hot. I have it in high. And the first thing I'm going to do, and a lot of people when they cook in Puerto Rico, arroz con pollo, they don't do this process like this. But for me, it's about enhancing the flavor, learning techniques, and applying them to maximize the flavor of your meal. So what I'm doing is, what I'm doing is braising these chickens. And I'm going to do this for about maybe 5 to 8 minutes because I want them somewhat cooked before I put it. Before I start cooking it with the rice. And this technique is very nice. I learned that watching some people in Spain how they cook their paella and other meals, and the flavor is amazing. So I'm going to take my time with this. I'm not going to record everything. I will show you when I'm almost done with this project. Now it's been about 7-8 minutes. I started with 2 minutes at high heat, then reduce it to medium. In about 8 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them in a quarter because I'm going to rest them for a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm cutting the chicken a little bit more so I can manage the amount within the rice when I'm cooking it. I took the end of the legs out. No need to have those things. I took it out not just because it looks pretty, but also because why use space, rice space, and water space when you're not going to eat this stuff. You know what I mean? Now I'm going to use some annatto seeds to create a real-time annatto oil or achiote oil. You just put a little bit of oil. I'm going to use the extra virgin one because this is exactly what I'm going to be using to cook. You have heat a high because you're not going to be leaving the stuff in. And you have a few I would say about half a teaspoon of annatto seeds. And you have to watch this closely. You don't want it burn. You have to watch it closely. So, and what you're doing is creating that oil. You're creating that oil. And you start moving it around. See how the oil started looking already? And you move it around. Lower the heat to medium, why not? And then, it's about after a minute or so of doing this, you take the seeds out and you just leave the oil. So it's been a couple minutes. I'm going to turn this off for a little bit. What you do now, you start fishing this stuff out. And here you have it. What a beautiful color, huh? See? Now that you have your annatto oil prepared, first thing you're going to do, you're going to put about maybe 3 tablespoons of sofrito. Once again, this is the preserved sofrito that I prepared about a year ago. But you can actually do something real time without using the blender. And I have it in my description. Oh my goodness, it smells good. Let it go for about 30 or so seconds. See, I don't have to add garlic or any of that stuff or cumin because I already have it in my sofrito. Moving it around, moving it around. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some tomato sauce. Woohoo! Move it a little bit. Time to add a little bit of smoked paprika. Pimentón, like we call it in Spanish, in Spain. Pimentón. Not a lot, about a teaspoon. Move it around. Now you start adding Um, that stuff that you used for your chicken earlier to braise it, add it there. So you add in the juices of that chicken, and then you start adding the chicken first with the skin and everything. And I cut this in pieces, as I showed you earlier. I even cut the leg out, the tape of the leg, because you want it to fit nicely. You want to work with this nicely. Move it around. Wipe things out a little bit from time to time. And you mix in the flavors. So you don't need a lot. Let's put some olive. Mix the flavors. Turn the heat down a little bit to medium high. And because I'm going to use about 1 cup and 3/4, almost 2 cups of rice, I have 2 cups of broth, which is not going to be enough. So I have another cup of water. Going to turn the heat high. And I'm putting the water first. Let me put another cup. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to boil it, I'm going to add the rice, and then I'm going to play with the water. I don't like to put the rice first and stuff because I want to make broth. And the broth, I'm going to add rice to it. If I put the water after or whatever, and the broth, because I already have some broth, but I didn't have enough. If I put the rice first and then the water, then what I'm doing is adding water. But because I didn't have enough broth and I had to add water, what I'm doing is making a broth as a whole to then add the rice. That way it gets better flavors. And you always give it a taste. Make sure you use a different spoon. You need some salt. So you add some salt. And that's the thing about not putting salt in your sofrito and stuff like that, because you want to manage the salt content that you like. You put out that other salt stuff, salty stuff, you're not managing anything. Move it around. Perfect. So you let it boil for a little bit, and then you add the rice. So the liquid is starting to get there. You see it's getting bubbly. So let me add the rice now. And actually I'm going to need more rice. So actually I had to add a little bit more rice because I miscalculated the water when I was putting it in the thing. I got distracted. Let me see what's up. Yeah, I guess it's working. That's the old lady's way of making sure the rice size is right. I don't like using it. I have to go by. So I use it now. And still, when I use my own old style, still the same. See? About half an inch, maybe an inch. That's good because of the amount of chicken. Let's give it a stir so everything mixed together. Bay leaf. Why not? And this is just one stir for now. So everything adds together, is boiling. So you want to minimize the rice from burning at the bottom. People call it pegado, I call it burnt rice. Now with this kind of rice, it's not much you can do. You're going to get some burn at the bottom because of the sofrito and the tomato sauce. But now you move it down to medium. And what you're going to do, you're going to cover this up. You cover up. So it's been about 10, 11 minutes. This stuff is looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want it burn, I'm going to carefully move it around. Because this stuff is not nearly ready. So you move it around a little bit. You're using more steam than water. Move it a little bit, and then you do, I mean, you're going to get part burn, nothing you can do. But you move it a little bit. You don't go crazy, just move it a little bit. See how carefully I'm moving this stuff? Because I want this thing to cook now what was in the bottom to become the top. Yeah. This is looking pretty good, by the way. See? Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover it. And I think I'm going to monitor this for another 5 minutes because of the amount of rice I'm cooking today. Let's take a look. And that looking pretty. This actually tastes delicious. One more turn. Not a lot, just a little bit. Yep. So what you're going to do now, this is ready. And I know it's ready because I tasted it. And it doesn't feel like crunchy. You have two options. Leave it alone. Cover it with some aluminum foil and this cover. Or with some banana leaf. And the purpose of that is just to play with the last minute of heat transfer, you know, to keep the steam from going up further. So what I'm doing is I'm keeping the steam from going from the rice to the top of the cover. Keeping the steam there, straight there. Cover up and let it go for a low, put it to low. Low. And I said cook it for another 3 minutes. Certainly no more than 4 or 5. And you're done after that. Okay, it's been 3 minutes. Let me start moving stuff. Let's take a look. Woohoo! Ah, this smells so good. Oh yeah. See this steamy? See how steamy and beautiful it looks? See the chicken? That chicken is hiding from us. This looks fantastic. See the chicken? That's how it looks. Woohoo! See grainy? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Let's start.